The Coast to Coast Walk is a walk of about 190 miles, which takes you through the lakes, the dales, and finally the North Yorkshire moors from St Bees on the western coast of England to Robin Hood's Bay on the east coast. I'm Andy, on the right here, 66 years of age and semi-retired, and in late April of 2024 I decided to walk the Coast to Coast for the first time with my friend and former colleague Peter on the left. We drove up to Kirkby Stephen and camped in the excellent Pennine View campsite, then booked a minibus to take us to the start of the walk at St Bees. After the obligatory dipping of our feet in the Irish Sea and gathering a pebble each, we set off at about 11 o'clock in the morning for day one, which would take us to Ennerdale Bridge. And off we go! Day one would take us north along the coast for a few miles, past St Bees Head, with great views of Scotland and the Isle of Man. We would then bear inland through the small villages of Sandwith, Moorrow and Cleator, before our first real climb of the walk, up Dent, at a height of 352 metres, and then on to spend our first night camping in the garden of the Fox and Hounds at Ennerdale Bridge. Morning everybody, this is day one of our Coast to Coast. I'm here with my friend Peter. We drove up yesterday, stayed at the campsite in Kirkby Stevens, which is very pleasant, and then stored the car and got the minibus to St Bees. Blue skies, a bit like the Mediterranean really. Just following the headland round. It's a surprisingly nice day. Only about 8 or 9 degrees I think, but blue skies, or some blue skies, and a slight wind, a bit chilly, but good walking weather. We're heading for Ennerdale Bridge today. Possibly going on to Ennerdale Water. We haven't got anything booked, but we'll just see where we go. So, looking forward to it. Should be doing 14 or 15 miles today, so a relatively easy day. And look at those views. Brilliant. The first few miles of the walk are easy, with, on a decent day, great views. The lighthouse marks the turn to the east, away from the sea, and some pleasant walking along small roads, footpaths and tracks, with the lakes forming the scenery in front of us. Just been through Sandwith and said goodbye to the coast and the lakes in the distance. Still a bit chilly, but a good day. Sun's trying to make an appearance and quite a bit of blue sky. The path is waymarked, but often not very clearly. In some places signs point the way well, but having a map and ideally some mapping app on your phone is advisable. We passed the famous Coast to Coast statue and then followed a disused railway line which made for easy walking. Just come out of Cleator and we're starting the gradual ascent up Dent, about 4 or 5 miles to Ennerdale, where we're stopping tonight. So we've been climbing for quite a while, just come onto the moors. Ahead of us is the Isle of Man, and then more north, probably can't quite see it, but the Scottish coast in Galloway. The sun is out and it's lovely. And we're pretty much at the top of Dent. to our right, Scotland. From the top of Dent we got a clearer glimpse of what was to come in forthcoming days. We then descended, following Nannycatch Beck and Scarney Brow, towards Ennerdale Bridge. Ennerdale Bridge in the distance. We're following the footpath just to the left of the road, probably about a mile away, just under a mile. It's been a cracking day today. Beautiful contrast of scenery, fantastic views from top of Dent, quite a steep descent, fair old cold wind on top of Dent, but the sun has shone, no rain, a few rain clouds in the distance, and we're getting towards the lakes. So a good day for day one. I think we've done about 14 miles or so. The Fox and Hounds at Ennerdale Bridge allows camping in its gardens. We ate at the pub and had an excellent meal and some very pleasant beers. That night was very cold. We had to scrape ice off the inside of our tents in the morning. We started day two bright and early. We took the southern route along the shores of Ennerdale Water, past Robin Hood's Chair. Although it looks relatively flat on the map, the route had a surprising number of small climbs. We then walked up the valley to Low Gillerthwaite Field Centre, where we stopped for breakfast. We decided to take the high route, climbing up to Red Pike. This was a challenging ascent, particularly when the path runs out, but gave us fabulous views. We then followed the crest of the hills over High Stile, High Crag and Haystacks, descending to a bothy at Dove's Bottom, and then following a dismantled railway track to take us to Honister Slate Mines and Sea Toller, finishing at the YHA at Rosthwaite. This proved to be a very tiring day. Good morning all. It's about 7:30. We slept at the Fox and Hounds last night, out in the garden, and had a nice meal and a very nice drink there. It was cold this morning, although I was probably warm in my sleeping bag, scraping the frost off the inside of the tent. And then we packed up and left, and we're now walking along to Ennerdale Water. Beautiful bright blue skies, although still a bit nippy. So we're going to break off left after Ennerdale Water and go up the big hills, ending up with Haystacks, if all goes to plan. Forecast for today is pretty good, but possibly some rain later on. And we're hoping to stay at the youth hostel in Rosthwaite tonight. Lovely and quiet walking along Ennerdale Water. Just the wind, no one else around. The sun's out and the skies are blue. Just climbing up to do the alternative path that takes us up to the crags that end up with Haystacks. So fairly stiff ascent at the moment, so we've got quite a long way to go. Well, this is the view from Red Pike. quite a climb up here. It took us about an hour and a half. Not much of a path. And was it worth it? Wow, yeah. So ahead of us, just coming into view, High Stile, and then High Peak, I think, and then Haystacks. And pretty much 360 degrees view. Got a bit more cloudy now. There's Ennerdale Water.
And the Isle of Man.
And the Isle of Man, and the Irish Sea. Absolutely brilliant. And there in the distance is Scotland. Well, we're finally at the top of Haystacks. Oh, and that was pretty hard work. Apparently it's relatively easy to get back to the slate mine and not too bad to get to Rosthwaite now. Certainly cracking views, but a stiff old climb and lots of difficult descents. But on the whole, worth it. This route provided us with fantastic views throughout the day. We walked just over 15 miles on day 2, but the total ascent of 4,483 feet made it a hard day. We stayed at the very busy but very welcoming YHA at Rosthwaite. We could only get space in a bunk room as we hadn't booked beforehand, but we ate well and enjoyed a few pints. Needless to say, we slept very well. We left the hostel at Rosthwaite after taking advantage of a good cooked breakfast. We followed the path along Stonethwaite Beck, past Eagle Crag and Sergeant's Crag, before turning east to follow an alternative route up Calf Crag, Gibson Knot and Helm Crag. Again, this was quite challenging walking, but it was more than made up for by fantastic views. In the Lake District, the climbs were tough but achievable. I found the descents much more challenging, particularly with my slightly dodgy knees, and I was very grateful for my hiking poles, which really helped. We popped into the Traveller's Rest on the A591 for a well-deserved drink, and then set out again, climbing over Great Tongue before finally descending to Grisdale Tarn, where we'd decided to wild camp. It was cold and windy here, but once we'd set our tents up, a group of women came down from Ruthwaite Lodge to swim in the tarn. We watched them from the warmth of our tents and sleeping bags. Good morning. Saturday morning. We spent the night in the YHA at Rosthwaite, which was very good. We hadn't booked and it was quite busy, so we got 2 rooms in a dorm, which was fine. Had a cracking meal, nice pint, and got up a little bit later today and left a bit later after a nice breakfast. Beautiful day, sun is shining, sky is blue. How are you, Peter?
Yeah, enjoy myself, thank you.
Probably because of the company, I suppose. Short day today, probably. Heading towards Grasmere. As it's a Saturday, we might not be able to find anywhere to camp, so we might go up to Grisdale Tarn and camp there, but we'll see how it goes. Yesterday was quite tough. We had a bit of rain and snow at the end, but that's the first, not snow, hail. But that's the first bit of rain we've had, although it is forecast for a little bit of rain today. But we'll see how it goes. Following the track out of Rosthwaite. Again, beautiful weather. But a little bit of frost on the fields in the shade. Fabulous views. Stunning scenery. And as you can see, still fantastic weather. Rosthwaite in the far distance. I think we've probably got about 3 miles so far. Still ascending. Not too far from the top now. So this is the view from up the top of Lining Crag. Quite a scramble up here, but great views. And we're heading up there, a bit more up and down towards Grasmere. The going's made a bit easier with all these slabs that have been laid down, which must have been a hell of a job. Huge, great slabs of stone. The view from Green Up Edge. Well, a big thank you to the people who laid those slabs for the last third of a mile. Made it going nice and easy. Just slightly off route at the top of Calf Crag. So we're walking down and then up, and straight in the middle of the picture is Helms Crag. And after that, it's a descent into Grasmere, and we might stay there and we might move on. We'll see how things go. And the view from the top of Helms Crag. Just climbing up towards Grisdale Tarn. Just been across that little bridge. And I think the idea is that we'll wild camp at the Tarn today. It's about 4 o'clock. Just popped in the Traveller's Rest for a nice coffee and a sticky toffee pudding, which was lovely. Fairly steep ascent, but slightly easier going because it's just regular ascent. and Patterdale and beyond tomorrow. So we just reached Grisdale Tarn. That was a stiff walk up here, but beautiful. At the moment there doesn't seem to be anybody else here. I think we're going to wild camp here. Possibility of going up Helvellyn tomorrow, but I'm not sure about that. We'll see how we go. But what a beautiful spot. Gorgeous, and touch wood, no rain yet. We pitched our tents in the most sheltered spot we could find and watched a group of women come from a cold, wild swim. We made some dinner and then spent a chilly and windy night, albeit in a beautiful setting. Day 4 would be one of our longer days of walking, at almost 21 miles, and would take us out of the lakes to Shap. We left Grisdale Tarn early, in very windy and cold weather, and walked past Ruthwaite Lodge along Grisdale Beck, descending towards Patterdale. Before we got to Patterdale, we detoured to Glenridding, where we managed to find a hotel that was open early on a Sunday morning, where we had an excellent breakfast. We then retraced our steps through Patterdale, climbing up to Angle Tarn and up the Knot. We decided not to climb Kisty Pike, but turned left just before this to take us up to High Raise. This led to an easy and grassy track which gradually descended through Low Raise and Long Grain to join the traditional path about 1 mile before the end of Hawkswater. We were going to camp at Burnbanks, but as it was quite early, decided to press on another 5 miles, past Shap Abbey and finally into Shap, where we stayed in a basic pod behind the Crown pub. Good morning. It's day 4. Very windy night. Quite cold as well. I was wearing everything and it was still a little bit cold at times. The mist has come right down, or the clouds have come right down, as you can see at the back there. So we got up early, packed up in our tents, and then started the walk down from Grisdale Tarn to Patterdale. How are you, Peter, this morning?
It's good now we're out of the wind. I think I've got a bit numb lips.
Yeah, it's very windy and cold up in Grisdale Tarn. But a lovely place to stay. Just one of the couple staying there and they'd gone by the time we got up. We started packing away just past 6. We left at 6:30, 7. But much nicer out of the wind. And we were thinking about Helvellyn today. Well, Peter was. I wasn't sure that I was going to do it, but I think that's been decided for us by the fact that the clouds are down. that's the way we've just come. Just climbing up from Patterdale towards Angle Tarn. I think we're going to try, it's only about 10:30, we're going to try and slog away to Burnbanks where the camping site seems to be open. And just looking down on Angle Tarn and the path in the distance. So we're going to carry on. Path stretching down and then to the right, heading towards the highest point on the whole of the coast to coast. We're going to give that a slight miss and take a little detour, having been up Red Stile and Haystacks. So we've decided to not go to Kidsley Pike but break left, which avoids all the upping and downing down by the lake, a little bit of up and then I think relatively gradual descent to where we hope we're going to camp tonight. Probably another 3 hours walking, I should think. At the top of High Raise, quite a wind blowing. Looking out towards the Gilgills and the Dales. Low Raise in front of us. An absolutely cracking view. Look at that. Whoa. So we're coming down to Haweswater Reservoir. We've missed walking along the side of this, but we've still got about a kilometre to go to get to Burnside, and then I think we're going to go head for Shap, and then tomorrow walk from Shap to Kirby Lonsdale and stay in the pub garden tonight in Shap. Probably another couple of hours walking, and it's about 3 o'clock now, so it should be relatively easy. Rain's held off today, quite a wind up on top, a tiny bit of hail, but it's been okay. Well, we left Burnbanks behind on our way to Shap, about 4.5 miles, and we've now left the lakes behind. The sun's out and it's about 4:30, so hopefully get to Shap in the next, well, before 6. And I think we're going to stay in a little camping pod, which will be nice. As you can see, countryside is quite different from the lakes. So Shap Abbey, just coming up to this, probably about a mile to Shap. Looking forward to getting there. Feeling a little bit footsore at the moment, but lovely soft landscapes, sheep and loads of lambs. Very nice. And just coming down the road into Shap, about 5 to 6, and we're staying hopefully in a pod in the Crown, where we're going to have
too much beer,
probably, and lots to eat and sleep very well, because tomorrow it's forecast for rain. We thought we'd have a dry night. A nice walk, but starting to feel a little bit tired now, but beautiful countryside, lovely dry stone walls, lots of lambs.
Shap was a pleasant enough village. The Crown Inn where we stayed seems to have seen better days,
and wasn't serving food when we stayed, but we enjoyed a pint there. Luckily, the award-winning Shap Chippy made sure that we didn't go hungry. We stayed in a basic £10 pod behind the inn, which worked well as it rained heavily during the night.